Welcome to the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, a weekly broadcast sponsored by CVC Success Group, hosted each week by industry speaker, coach, author, and educator Jerry Isenhour. Our presentations are produced to assist business owners and managers in turning their business dreams into their business realities. And now, here is your host, Jerry Isenhour.
You know, as a business owner, one of the things you got to do is look at how your world is turning. As we look at how the world turns, the world and the way it turns will affect our businesses. As such, watching how the world around us is turning many times can be a crystal ball into the future. It can become a way of seeing into the future if we take advantage of the things we've been through in our past and how we're going to learn from each of these and move into the future. So if you want to know more about how to do this, how to use the world turning to your advantage, stay with me. I'll be right back right after this message with more of the story.
Bringing your team to the level of expertise you expect and want from them is a job in itself. And let's be honest, in our industry, is the learning ever really over? Why not turn training over to the experts at the CVC Success Group? Subject matter experts in your industry have joined forces to create the CVC Academy, online, on-site, or live streaming. Training for your team in format options that work best for their individual needs. CVC Success Group has thought of everything to help put you and your team on the path to success.
You know, in the last couple days, for some reason, my mind reflected back to an earlier time in my life when I stayed with my grandmother. This was after school. It was also in summer vacations. My grandmother lived very close to us, and going to her house after school and during the summer was a normal time for me in my younger days. And one of the things that my grandmother often did was she watched soap operas. And one of these was entitled As the World Turns. And as I look at today, I wonder, is this what we've got to be watching more intently? Have we got to be watching how the world turns? As I sit here and record this today, it's a few days before a presidential election, congressional elections. Leadership may change. And if leadership should change or should remain the same, how is that going to affect the way that our world turns? How's it going to affect your business? You know, I want you to think back for just a minute. Think back to a year ago, November of 2019. Did anyone have a crystal ball that it could have looked into the year of 2020 with the chaos and disruption that our world has gone through? Could anyone have envisioned a time where we would see people masked every single day? Where we would see businesses where the amount of business they could do would be decreed, cut back by the government? Will we see businesses failing? Could we predict this for 2019? Could we predict the things that we have gone through this year? Think back just to earlier times in this year. Think back to March, to April. Did you foresee what would happen over the coming months? Did you foresee how business would go from a case of being very worried if there was a future, which many were in the springtime, into what it is today, where your services, your products are going to be in such high demand, where the continuing problem would be, how do I find good people? As I look at the news media every day, they're telling me how unemployment is rising. As I look at this every day, I see where businesses are folding. I'm seeing where businesses can't survive and what we're calling the new normal, or what my friend and mentor Randy Pennington calls the new next. You see, the world changes. Economies change. Demand changes. Consumer preferences change. Look at today. How much items, how many products are sold via the World Wide Web? And we're not talking about certain products. We're talking about the simple things. Let me ask you a question. If you've got a dog, how do you get your pet food today? If you have a swimming pool, how do you get your supplies for your swimming pool? We all eat. How many people are going back to what we had in the 50s with groceries being delivered to our homes? The difference today is we don't have a phone call with the grocer. Rather, we go to the World Wide Web and we let our fingers do the walking. If we look at where this world's going, where's artificial intelligence going to affect your business? Do you know there's predictions right now that your appointments in a few years will be set up by artificial intelligence? In other words, there may not be a secretary in an office, a CSR, a customer service person may not be setting up these appointments. It could be done by artificial intelligence. As we look at this, who could have predicted these changes? Who could have predicted what we would go through in 2019? But we're getting ready to head into 2021. I'll bet you a year ago that no one classified their business as an essential business. It was a word we had never heard before. Who thought that we would go through a time that we were going to have to protect ourselves going into customers' homes and protecting the customer? Who would have thought? Who would have thought that it could become an issue of handing a customer an ink pen or handing them an iPad that had not been sanitized? Who could have envisioned in 2019 that many companies, not only in this industry, around the world, or excuse me, around the country, would have been granted loans and grants in 2020? PPP loans, payroll protection plans, disaster loans to small businesses. It's part of the process of 2020. And again, we could go on and on about these changes that have occurred in 2020. And see, 2020 presented a new avenue to us. It presented us fears of others and fears of the unknown. 2020 has been a challenge in so many ways. But as we approach the end of 2020, we're going to look at 2020 in our past. And today, as you approach this end, are you ending the year on a high note? Because if you are, I want you to pat yourself on the back, because you have been able to get through some of the most turbulent seas of business that we've seen since the Great Depression. Every one of us has learned some really hard lessons in life and business by the way our world has changed over the past 7 months. I was recently in Buffalo, New York, and the first time I had saw a border crossing completely closed, going into where you could not cross to Canada. As we look at it, we look around the world. Many are seeing the second coming of the COVID-19 virus. But what this has also done, it's turned into a tremendous upswing of business for home service contractors. And you, as a chimney service person, as a hearth industry member, you fall under this general classification, where the demand for products and services, they're swapping so many businesses due to a high demand. The demand is exceeding the capacity. And as we go forward, we're now facing problems of supply chain. And it's not just the industry you're in. Look at other home appliances. Go shop for a refrigerator, shop for a washing machine, shop for a dryer. The chains have dried up. And Lord, what did 2020 teach us? How about the great toilet paper shortage of 2020? The great toilet paper shortage. But see, as we end the year, this is where a business owner, where leaders have to do. They got to pull out that crystal ball, and you got to peer into that for what's going to happen in 2021. What's 2021 going to deliver to you? Let me ask you a couple questions. Have you got your marketing calendar set for 2021? Are you set for the next season of the industry you're in that will start in January? Have you prepared your budget for 2021, both on the income and the expense side? And most of all, do you know what your strengths are, your weaknesses, your opportunity, and your threats as you transition into the year of 2021? And what is this new normal going to present to you? But you see, looking at it from my view, this is what I see. This is my viewpoint. Many are so overwhelmed in business that they're just running and running and running and running, and they're not following the classic advice of Michael Gerber in his E-Myth book, where Michael shared the wisdom. You've got to spend time working on the business, not just in the business. But again, these last few months have just been so overwhelming. The demand of the customer has often exceeded the number of people we have and the number of hours we each are allotted in the work in each day. But what we've got to do in good times and when there are stormy seas, we have to exhibit leadership. You see, you as the leader, you're the one that has to chart the course because stormy seas often do come up. As John Maxwell says in his books, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, it requires leadership skills. Many of these skills must be developed. We're not born with them. Yes, natural charisma can take you to a certain level, but you as a leader have got to go beyond charisma. You've got to become a servant leader. If the course that you're going to chart is going to be bought in by those you lead. You see, what you need to do as we're ending up the year 2020 is look at what you've learned in 2020. What have you learned that will help you make the required changes to navigate the stormy seas of 2021? You can bet it will be another period of change. And as the leader, and to be an effective leader, it means you got to be able to chart the course. And that means you got to check the wind. You got to know what the tides are. And from this, you gain the knowledge to chart the most effective course for your crew to follow. You see, that's what being a business leader is. It's all about being able to lead others. It's all about being able to face adversity. It's all about being able to step up to the plate. It's also all about keeping a focus on your customer, not on your competition. Focus in how to best serve your customer, not how to beat your competition. Because the company that has a strive to beat their competition up against a company that's concerned about providing the best for the customer, the one that's providing the best for the customer is going to come out the winner. So those are my thoughts on this week's episode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this mic over to Sheryl. And one of the things I know that Cheryl's going to bring her unique point of view to this, her perspective. It may agree with mine, it may not, because we each and every one have our individual points of view. And this is the most important thing for you to have, is develop your own personal point of view of how you're going to be successful, how to establish your strategy, and how to chart the course that at the end of 2021, you arrive at the destination that you set the course for. You charted your course right there. Yeah, you may have a few bruises. You may have a few cuts and scrapes because things do go awry at times. But what you have to do is use every single time that things go awry, that failure arises. Again, follow the advice of Dr. Maxwell. Just simply fail forward. You fail forward by using what you've learned as part of what you're going to put together for your course going in the future. And that's going to end my point of view for the day. So I'm going to turn the mic over at this time to Cheryl and let her give you her perspective, her unique point of view of how she views how the world is turning. Stick with me. She'll be right with you.
As a business owner, you know where you want to take your business, but things keep popping up to block your way. You're not alone. It's hard to see clearly when you're so close to the situation. Where are the roadblocks? What do you need to tackle first? You went out and took a big risk because you've got dreams for your family and your community, and it's time to turn those dreams into reality. CVC Success Group has a proven system to do just that. It's time we talk.
As the world turns, I think my mother actually lived for her soap operas, but those were just specks in time. And she never took the title and looked at it any farther than that. Jerry spoke earlier about As the World Turns. The turns or the changes are inevitable and they will never stop. I listened as my grandparents talked about the changes they went through, the days they rode in a wagon, the days they got their first car, the days of living through the Great Depression. My parents were actually born during the Depression. As they lived on their life, they moved on to live through World War II. I actually came several years after World War II. I personally have lived through many changes myself. Remembering the day that my family got its first television. What a day. Tiny screen, big box. Then we got a colored TV. Then I got a phone I could carry in a bag with me. Now I have a phone that fits in my pocket that actually has the power of a computer. So many other changes have gone on in my life. Where will it go from here? We don't know, but I am here to tell you that you need to have a plan where you will go as a person and also a plan of where you as a leader want your company to go. Let me tell you, don't only make a plan, but make a contingency plan, just in case plan A doesn't work. And also make a plan C, D, E, on and on, because you can only see so far into the future, and it will never, ever go exactly where you planned. Always be ready to adjust. As I use my own words today, and I have borrowed words from other people, I want to talk to you a little bit about change. John F. Kennedy, one thing he said, change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. We can't avoid change, and the more we resist change, the tougher our life becomes. We're surrounded by change, and it is the one thing that has the most dramatic impact on our lives. There's no avoiding change, and it will find you, it will challenge you, and it will force you to reconsider how to live your life. Another saying I like was by the late Jim Rohn. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. Change can come into our lives as a result of a crisis, as a result of a choice, or actually can come in just by chance. In either situation, we are all faced with having to make a choice. Do you want to make the choice or not? I personally believe that it's better to be prepared for change because we have more control over how we react to the changes that we're having to face in our daily lives. As long as you know it, it's easier to change. When you're not prepared and you resist change, then you have no control or no choice as to how you want to live your life. You live your life as a reactionary rather than an activator of change. We cannot avoid the unexpected events and crises in our life. It is these events that challenge us and force us to step out of our comfort zone. If we ignore or hide away from the challenge or the change, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn and grow. Our resilience in life can only grow stronger when we embrace change and manage these challenges in a positive way, rather than hide away and ignore the opportunities that the change will bring to our lives. People, there are no escapes to the impact that change can bring into your life. Managing change in life is key to living a life where you are not only surviving, but thriving as well. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. That was written by George Bernard Shaw. We like to live our lives in our comfort zone. We all have a comfort zone and we like it. Our subconscious likes this because it is the known. Embracing changes, stepping into the unknown, and our subconscious does not like the unknown. So what do? We resist. Our fears and self-limiting beliefs, will kick into action when we are faced with the disruptive consequences of change. There's no escaping the fact that change is a disruptor, and it feels uncomfortable and it's scary. However, it is our power of choice that enables us to activate positive changes in our life. We cannot, I say that again, we cannot control the events of change in our lives, but we can control how we react to the impact that these events have to our lives. Graham Brown said, "Life is about choices. Some we regret, some we're proud of, some will haunt us forever. The message, we are what we choose to be." The more you use your power of choice and the more you focus your mindset on positivity and adapting to change, the more resilient you will be to dealing with impact that changes will bring into your life. Step out of your comfort zone. Comfort zones where unrealized dreams are buried as the enemies of achievement. Leadership begins with your step out of your comfort zone. Knowing what's important in your life gives you purpose and sets the direction of how you want to live your life. With a sense of purpose and a meaning in life, you have clarity and you have focus. Both of these elements are essential to you being able to be successfully and to adapt and manage the impact of the changes in your lives. And your changes will come, and they will come, and they will keep coming. Having no purpose or meaning, you just drift around with the confines of your comfort zone. Purpose and meaning in life gives you the courage to step out of your comfort zone, which is where you find change and the opportunities it can offer to you. For the world has changed, and we must change with it, said by Barack Obama. One of the memories that I have of Barack is that statement. So, with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Jerry. I want to say that take changes, Move with them, because one day, as I do, you will stand back and look. Now, did you adapt to the changes or did you fight them? That's where you go, and that's what makes you the leader or the follower. Again, this is Sheryl Isenhour, and back to Jerry to wrap up today's.
It's so hard to find people. Nobody shows up for interviews anymore. I just don't know where to find people. You hear it everywhere, and you're not alone. The CVC Success Group has the experience and expertise in assessing candidates, conducting interviews for you, onboarding, and training your new hires for a path of success in their new career. Reach out to CVC Success Group, and let's talk about the challenges you're facing today.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed the viewpoints, the points of view of both myself and Sheryl in this episode. Keep it in mind, you as the leader, you got to chart that course. You as the leader are the one that has to learn to listen to the people you lead, to listen to the customer, to look at what you say. So often, it just takes the right choice of words. It just takes the right tone of voice to speak those words. Listening to understand, not to compose a reply. You know what it's like if you're speaking to someone and they interrupt you before you ever get done with a reply and have never let you got your thoughts out. Here's what I'd encourage you to do. Make 2021 the year to, as Ronald Reagan said, take down these walls. Tear down these walls, Mr. Gorbachev. This is what so many people in this world seem to do today. They simply want to erect walls. And instead of having open communication, where we can all coexist peacefully, where we can all do the things that we're all good at, rather, walls are built. We see it simply too many days from too many aspects. Decide how you're going to lead your team, your crew, your sailors. What's the chart you're going to course for 2021? During listening to this, have thoughts come into your mind of how you can chart a very effective course. And you know, the end of this course is to turn your business dreams into your business realities. And by doing that, think what that's going to do for you, your team, your business, and for your own personal life. Because that's what it's all about. That's why you have that business. That business exists to bring you the things that you dream of in this world. You work hard to get there. Make sure you realize the fruits of the labor that you put forth. And with that, we're going to end this episode. We appreciate you joining us. It's really an honor. It's a privilege. It's a pleasure for Sheryl and myself to be able to share our words with you every week like this. Tune in next week for another episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network.
Thanks for joining us here each week at the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network, sponsored by CVC Success Group, providing you the coaching and educational outreach services you need to move to your dream destination in business and in life.